Hello, I'm Lisa Zembrodt, Principal of Schneider Electric Sustainability Business, and I'm joined here today by Luke Menzel, CEO of the Energy Efficiency Council. Welcome to SOFA Chats. Luke, could you please tell me a little bit about what the Energy Efficiency Council does?
Sure. Thank you for the invite. The Energy Efficiency Council is the peak body for all things demand side of our energy system. So energy efficiency, electrification, other types of fuel switching, also demand flexibility and load shaping as well. And we work across homes, business decarbonisation and energy systems. So we've got a really broad remit. We're a peak body, which means we have a bunch of members that are operating in different parts of the supply chain, consultants, product suppliers, technology providers. It's a really exciting network, and we're trying to solve how the economy works behind the meter in the 21st century. We've got a lot of the solutions now, and a big part of the work we do is policy and advocacy to make sure that we've got the deployment pathways to get that technology out into the market. So we've got a big job, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of such a big job and the impact that it has, one of my favorite stats of the last few days is about the ability to save $6 billion just by getting the demand side right in our energy transition.
Yep.
So maybe let's pick up on that theme a little bit. Can you tell me a bit about electrification in commercial buildings and industrial settings? How's that going, and then where to next?
Yeah, so one of the things that has really come into the fore in our work over the last 5 or 6 years, we've always been passionate about energy efficiency. We're now pairing that very much so with electrification in certain parts of the economy, so that we know in buildings that electrification is the key pathway to get those buildings off gas. But as we electrify, we're adding new load to the grid, so doing it efficiently and making sure that we're shaping that load effectively is really important, so that we can pair that new electric technology with the availability of renewables as well. And so for engineers or consultants or trades that are kind of working with homes and businesses to get that done, it's really important to understand the role of the demand side, efficiency electrification, the role of the supply side, the availability of renewables over the course of the day, and making sure they're working well together. In commercial buildings, you mentioned, we're already seeing that if it's new build, commercial buildings, that's pretty straightforward. We can build those now, and a lot of engineering consultancies, that's what they're being asked for, and they're easily specifying that. There's a bigger task in terms of existing buildings, working out how to do that, how to retrofit those big commercial buildings with plant rooms, with space constraints, is more challenging. It's actually one of the big projects we've got on at the moment with the Property Council to unpack that and work out how we get that done, which is really exciting, because we're going to be creating these technical playbooks that will allow the market to start doing that bit of it as well.
And really advancing and accelerating that electrification. And one of the things that we talked about was the consumption of gas from low value activities to high value activities. Did you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think one of the really important things that we need to do as we move through this transition is kind of have a nuanced view of the role of different fuel supplies as we work through the transition. For buildings, it's really clear that electrification is the pathway to go. It's also the case for many manufacturers and food processors that are using low temperature process heat. For high temperature heat, or for manufacturers that are using gas as a feedstock, it's a little bit more challenging, and they're going to take more time, and those technologies are still coming. And so there is still a role for gas in the economy. We also haven't completely solved for how we balance out a high penetration renewable energy system, and there's likely that we're going to need some gas peakers in the mix over the next couple of decades as well. But the trick is that in parts of the country we're actually running out of gas, right? And so it's really important that we move from low value uses of gas, heating homes, heating hot water. Low temperature process heat is a low value use of gas, and it is straightforward to electrify that, so that we have the gas available for high value uses of gas, and I've enunciated what some of those are. And the great thing about that is we're reducing our emissions at the same time, and so there's a lot of interlocking gears in this transition, and we just need to think, as I said, in a nuanced way about the role of all those different gears in kind of delivering a net zero economy.
And what's the role of policy settings in getting all of that right, and what's some of the work happening at the policy level to do that?
Well, I think one of the most important things is like governments giving clear signals to the market. You can have regulations and you can have incentives, but governments giving businesses and households a clear direction of travel means that they can just make decisions themselves about the right technology to adopt. And I don't think we're getting enough of that from our state and federal governments. But there is a role for policy because the policy and regulatory systems that we have in place drive certain types of investments as well. And so one of the big things, as we record, that is underway is the National Electricity Market Review, being led by Tim Nelson. He's looking at how the energy market work, and engaging with Tim and the panel over the last couple of months. It's really clear that one of the things they're interested in is the supply side bias in our electricity market. It's sort of incentivise investments in generation and network infrastructure. There's mechanisms in place for storage now, but it's not incentivising the same sorts of investments in the demand side. Because Lisa, as you know, effectively what are we doing in electricity markets? We're balancing supply and demand. And you can do that in a couple of ways. You can build more generation, or you can bring down the demand in a way that works for consumers. And you want to have balanced investments across both those sides, so you're delivering an affordable energy system for consumers. And you know when that's most important? When we're rebuilding the entire energy system in the course of about 2 decades, right?
Yes. By 2038, all of the coal-fired generating assets in Australia will be retired, whether we like it or not. One of the things that we do like about that is that it gives us the opportunity to invest in new and different assets for the future, which I think is really exciting for our country.
It absolutely is. So to get the best possible outcome for Australian businesses and households, we need to focus on supply and demand. And the good news is that processes like the NEM review, being led by Tim Nelson, is trying to do that.
Yeah, well, thank goodness we've got folks like you, Luke Menzel, from the Energy Efficiency Council, working for us on getting those policy settings right and advocating for the right path forward for Australia. So thanks for joining me today on Sofa Chats.
It's an absolute pleasure.